Hey friends, let me ask you something that might open a door inside you. What if the scariest doctrine in Christianity was never true in the first place? What if the fear that shaped your childhood, your choices, and even your prayers wasn't from God at all? Let's talk about it. For many of us, the most terrifying doctrine wasn't sin or Satan. It was hell, a place of eternal conscious torment, a place we were told God might send us forever if we didn't get everything just right. And if you grew up with that belief, you know the fear it created. That quiet panic, those sleepless nights, that feeling that God's love could disappear. But here's the question. What if that doctrine was never true? Because when you really sit with it, the idea of a God of infinite love torturing people eternally doesn't make sense. Not emotionally, not morally, and not biblically. If eternal torment is real, then love loses. Grace loses. God's purpose loses. And Jesus becomes someone who came to save us from his own Father. But Scripture paints a far better picture. Colossians says we were enemies in our mind, not in reality, in our mind. The distance was never on God's side. It was only in our perception. And what heals that perception isn't fear. It's grace. A huge part of the confusion comes from how we've misunderstood the word fire. We imagine torture. But in Scripture, fire is almost always about refining, cleansing, and restoring, burning away what harms, not destroying the person. Judgment isn't God's revenge. It's God's healing. And Jesus didn't come to divide the world into the saved and the damned. He came to seek and save the lost, to take away the sin of the world, to fulfill God's will, a will that Scripture says is to save all, and he accomplishes all he wills. The gospel was never an ultimatum. It's a proclamation of what God has already done. So imagine this. God never needed to be convinced to love you. Fear was never his language. Grace was never limited. And every story, including yours, ends in restoration. Friends, if the scariest doctrine in Christianity was never true, then the gospel is far better than you've ever been told. Grace and peace to you.